Our conference today is Socio-Economic Planning Secretary and Director General of the National Economic Development Authority, Secretary Arsenio Balisacan. May we invite Secretary Balisacan on stage to give his opening remarks. Okay.
USAID Philippine Mission Director Susan Brahms, Stanford University Professor Frank Olak, my good colleagues Mark Rosgrant of IFRI, International Food Policy Research Institute, and James Romaset of the University of Hawaii, our friends and colleagues from the energy sector, representatives from the academe here and abroad, and the private sector, my colleagues in the government, esteemed friends, guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning, and welcome to the Energy Policy and Development Program Conference 2016. First of all, I would like to commend the EPDP for organizing this two-day event, gathering some of the most brilliant minds in the energy sector. The theme of this conference is very appropriate for what we in government have been striving to achieve: inclusive and sustainable development. Over the past years, we have strategically worked toward this goal. As you know, the economy has seen rapid growth in recent years, even reaching its highest 5-year average growth of 6.2%. Since the mid-1970s, and despite the slowdown in the last 2 years, we see the economy still among the fastest growing major developing economies in the world. The unemployment rate has marked a new 10-year record low, and the country has risen in global competitiveness rankings, among other things. Despite this, we recognize that the need to strengthen the nation's institutions, develop the country's infrastructure, promote technological innovation, and pursue regulatory and structural reforms. We need to carry on policies and programs that will provide improve industry's competitiveness and productivity. This cannot be attained without an efficient, secure, and sustainable energy sector. In fact, we do know that the energy sector, or power, is one of the most binding constraints that we see in the economy today. Energy remains a crucial element in the country's endeavor, indeed, to stay in the current growth trajectory. However, the sector is faced with many policy, investment, and regulatory and coordination issues affecting incentives and efficiency within the sector and across the economy. These include coordination between the public sector and the private sector, and the seemingly incongruous objectives of the Electric Power Industry Reform Act, or EPIRA, and the Renewable Energy Act. It is through research and discussions that we can help equip the country, the policymakers in particular, with evidence-based policy advice. We from the government are fortunate for EPDP, which over the last year has assisted us through research, policy, development, and advisory, as well as capacity building. In research, we see there are 10 major studies that EPDP is currently undertaking, a majority of which is in response to the government's request. These studies will be presented during the course of this conference, and the topics include forecasting energy demand, optimal fuel mix, market testing of power supply agreements, and power plant approvals in the Philippines. In policy and policy development advisory, EPDP has issued 3 technical advisory notes to the National Economic and Development Authority and the Department of Energy. These advisories discuss the necessity of greater synchronization between government agencies in planning, the absence of economic and social analysis in the current evaluation of power projects, and the challenges associated with the then proposed demand aggregation and supply auctioning policy. Currently, EPDP, as I understand it, is providing technical assistance to DOE together with the Energy Regulatory Commission as it seeks to implement a competitive selection process for distribution utilities through a joint resolution issued last October 2015. All these are but a few of the complexities facing the energy sector. It is my hope, my fervent hope indeed, that this conference will be an effective platform for policymakers, practitioners, stakeholders, the academe, and all other participants to engage in healthy deliberation, debate, on pressing energy issues and its attendant solutions. Thank you for your continued support. I thank in particular the USAID for the very strong support that it has extended to the program. And let us all have a very productive day ahead. Thank you again and enjoy the day.
Thank you, Secretary Balisacan, for that insightful opening message. Now we have the pleasure of having with us today Dr. Susan Brems, USAID Missions Director. We would like to call on Dr. Brems to come on stage to give her opening remarks. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Brems.
Good morning to everyone here. I'd like to give a special hello to our colleague, the gentleman who's just spoken, Secretary Arsenio Balisacan, Socioeconomic Planning Secretary of the National Economic and Development Authority. Tomorrow, I believe, we'll have with us Secretary Zenaida Munsada of the Department of Energy, so we look forward to that. To Professor Frank Wolak of Stanford University, to Dr. Maja Lea Arabago, Chief of Party of the Energy Policy and Development Program, and the many other distinguished academic and practitioners here present, officials from government, and colleagues from the private sector, from civil society, and my colleagues from USAID. Once again, good morning to all of you. I'm so happy to join you this morning and take part in what I'm certain will be a dynamic and constructive discourse about vital issues in the energy sector. I'm here in representation of U.S. Embassy Manila's United States Agency for International Development, commonly known as USAID. As you probably know, USAID is the principal arm of the U.S. government that offers technical and financial assistance to partner countries, such as the Philippines and the citizens of those countries. I bring you the warm greetings of the U.S. Ambassador to the Philippines, the Honorable Philip Goldberg. USAID is pleased to support the government of the Philippines through a grant to the UPCON Foundation to implement the Energy Policy and Development Program. The program seeks to strengthen the country's energy policies so that they promote affordable, reliable, and environmentally sound energy development. These are key elements to sustain the country's growth trajectory. It's especially exciting to be here so soon after the successful climate change negotiations at the Conference of Parties in Paris last December. Many countries, including the Philippines and the United States, made strong commitments to reduce emissions. The vast majority of those reductions must come from improvements in the ways we produce, distribute, and use energy. We recognize that along with greater use of renewable energy, progress must also be made on policies that affect both conventional and newer sources of energy, and on such complex topics as pricing, regulatory mechanisms, electricity markets, and project financing, among others. Here in the Philippines, the progress we so urgently need in the energy sector, both to fuel economic development and to curb emissions, largely depends on getting the policies right that govern these issues. This is exactly what the Energy Policy Development Program and this conference are all about. We are glad to support the Philippine government as it works to enhance capacity to undertake energy policy formulation and implementation that is based on evidence and to develop private sector approaches to increase access to affordable and reliable power. Thus, the theme of the EPDP Conference 2016, as we've already heard, toward inclusive and sustainable energy development is both timely and critical, as it promotes knowledge, research, and best practices that can be used by policymakers, academics, and other stakeholders to design and implement economically sound energy policies that will result in more cost-effective, sustainable, and reliable service. In closing, I'd like to share something that U.S. President Barack Obama said in a speech at the Paris climate change negotiations. President Obama said, "Let us reaffirm our commitment that resources will be there for countries willing to do their part to skip the dirty phase of development. Let's show businesses and investors that the global economy is on a firm path toward a low-carbon future." And President Obama went on, "If we put the right rules and incentives in place, we'll unleash the creative power of our best scientists and engineers and entrepreneurs to deploy clean energy technologies and the new jobs and opportunities that they create all around the world." So, with those profound words from the United States President, I extend my best wishes to all of you, scholars from the Philippines and other countries, and participants from the public and private sectors as you engage in what I am certain will be fruitful and enlightening discussions. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Brems. Now, may we request